So here are 5 tips to instantly start a conversation in any scenario, when you're socially awkward and when you're an introvert. Has this ever happened to you? You attend a friend gathering. Apart from the host, you don't know anyone. You desperately want to meet more people. You've tried networking events. You pluck up the courage to walk up to people, but you have no idea how to start a conversation. And then you just feel even more awkward. Rather than give you a script to use in different scenarios, which will make you overthink things and freeze up and look more awkward, for you to come across as your best self, use one of these 5 tips. Ask questions about the situation. For example, the other day I was buying groceries. I was standing in the shopping line waiting for the checkout person to start scanning my items, and there was a person behind me in the queue, and I looked back and they had this lovely pie thing that you put in the oven, one of those ready-made meals, and I asked that person, I said, how is that? And she told me what it was like. I said, oh, it's really good. I love it. I always get hit this every single week. There you go. You started a conversation. And now, whenever we see each other in the shop, just smile or wave. Another example, you're standing at a bus stop. I don't know if you have buses where you live, but we do. You're standing there, and if there's someone else there, you could say, have you seen the number 54 bus go by? And they went, no, I've only been here a few minutes. There you go. You started a conversation. This does not require you to prepare any script in advance. You just need to be wherever you are. That means don't be stuck in your head, listening to music, thinking thoughts racing through your head. Pay attention to your surroundings. What do you see that's interesting? What sparks curiosity in your surroundings? And just ask the person next to you. Now, the key with this method is you're both in that situation. You don't go out for a walk somewhere and walk up to a random person at a bus stop and you start asking. That's weird. Don't be that weirdo, because you're not, and you're not that desperate. When you're standing there going, okay, what can I talk about? What can I talk about? What can I talk about? You're not being present. You're in your head. Just let that go. Just watch and listen to your surroundings. That's when you know you're being present instead of in your head. Ask their opinion. Again, this one is about being in a shared situation. Imagine you are at an event together, a networking event, you just finished watching some sort of talk. You could ask, what did you think of that last session? Then wait and listen to their answer. Or if you've shuffled out of a movie theatre, how did you find that movie? If they're in a couple talking, then don't interrupt them. One time I was standing in a queue before an event. I was going to watch a comedy show. I was on my own and there was this couple in front of me. They were pointing at the poster and so on. And then there was a moment of silence between them. And I asked them, have you watched this before? And they both looked, yes, we watched it last week. And there you go. Instantly conversation started. Or maybe you're on a train or a plane or on a bus and you see someone reading a book. You could ask, how are you finding that book? Or in a restaurant. My wife have done this a few times. You're looking at people next to you. You are trying to decide what to order. Their dish looks nice, so you ask them, how is that dish? Every single time they respond with enthusiasm and it opens up a conversation. That's your opening. That's how you start that conversation. Ask their opinion. Again, this is about the situation, yep? And again, allow your curiosity to unfold. If you're not curious about a book, don't ask. If you're not curious about their meal, don't ask. Because if you're doing it as a simple technique, it comes across. People can feel that energy. So you gotta let go of that voice in your head telling you, let me start a conversation. No. Just say, just be curious about the world around you. Make a statement about the situation. One time on a bus, there was a drunk, rowdy person. They eventually got off the bus and I just said randomly, well, that person's going to wake up with a hangover tomorrow. And another person chimed in, they'll probably call in sick. And then we laughed. And there you go, conversation open. It's like a Facebook update. Just make a statement about something. Whatever is in your mind, whatever you're thinking in that moment, because chances are someone else is also thinking that same thing. If they're thinking something similar, they will chime in. The statement doesn't have to be clever. It can be completely dumb. When you say what you're thinking, they'll feel this instant connection. Introduce yourself. Now this one works in closed setting and you have all arrived at this closed setting for a purpose. A wedding or a party, a running club, any kind of club in the same company, the same university or school. So it's not like a cinema, which is public. So here's a simple thing you can do. Walk up to someone and say, hey, we haven't met yet. I'm Anise. There you go. Just walk up to someone and say, hey, we haven't met yet. I'm Anise. Extend your hand and they will shake it. It's exactly what we did Our first party, our first gathering after lockdown, my wife and I, we went to a friend's party. They celebrated 10 years together, and that's what we did. We just walked up to people and said, "Hi, we haven't met yet. I'm Anise, this is Jennifer." Ooh, da-da-da. Boom. You started a conversation. Remember, it's a private setting. Do not do this in public settings, like a museum or a gallery and so on. You don't walk up to someone and say, "Hi, we haven't met yet, I'm Anise." I would love to do that and just video it just to see how awkward people are. Wouldn't that be funny? Tell me if you want me to do that. Okay, what else? Specifically compliment someone. One time I was at this conference and I watched this speaking thingy, and then afterwards we had like a lunch break and I saw the speaker, East Asian economist. He was on his own there picking out food. I went up to him and I said, "I really enjoyed your talk and I found the UK's response to what you were saying fascinating." And then I kept quiet and then he started talking. There you go, conversation started. You have to be specific about the compliment and it's got to be authentic. You've got to feel, "I really like your bag, especially the material, fabric." That then draws them in to talk about it. Now the key with this particular one is you have to be specific about the compliment. Otherwise it's going to come across as fake. But also being vague about it, it does not engage the other person. It's like, "Oh, thanks." That's all you'll get in return. If you can't find anything to compliment, then don't do it. Otherwise it comes across fake, and you don't want to be that fake compliment person. People can tell. Just use one of the other tips instead. Now all these tips to start a conversation might sound overly simplistic and a little bit boring, but the way I see it is these are simple door openers. They help you just get that door open. When it becomes interesting is the next step. The follow-up. And the follow-up is simple. Ask how they feel about whatever it is you're talking about. For example, when I was standing waiting to go into the theatre, "Have you seen this before?" "Yes." "Well, what did you like about it?" And boom, they're talking about what they like, how they feel. And then it starts moving emotionally. And then you're both feeling that emotional connection there. In the restaurant, when my wife and I are eating, and then we'll ask, "How are you finding that?" And then they'll say, "Oh, like, what do you like about it?" Boom, and they'll start talking and and then we've opened up the avenue to talk about things we both have in common. Lovely food and dining out. Follow-up question is ask them how they feel. When asking someone about the book, "How are you finding it?" Blah, 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 blah. "Why? What do you like about it?" And then boom, you've opened up the avenue. Where else can you go with this? There's no script as such to tell you where to go next. That's when you've created this connection. Just let yourself come through. What will make you a great conversation starter is not having any pre-planned scripts or lines to say, but simply being present wherever you are. Because that will feed you cues, what might spark your creativity or your curiosity. I encourage you to practice these conversation starters in different scenarios. The more you practice, the better you'll get, the easier it becomes. It will be hard at first, and there might be some scenarios where people are not really interested in talking. Maybe it's because they've had a bad day. It does not mean everyone is like that. What you will find is most people really enjoy those random conversations and connections, and that you're actually making their day. So now that you have opened the conversation, how do you keep a conversation? How do you keep talking to people? Watch this video next, where I share with you simple tips on how to talk to people. So go out there and have a go. And when you do, come back, tell me how you get on. I would love to know. Thanks for watching. I will see you in another video.